Welcome to your community of fee-for-service financial advisors who are successfully building profitable firms that serve the next generation of clients. You'll learn from innovative advisors whose unique stories will inspire you to dream big and take action on your goals. Are you ready to live your great life and help clients live theirs? Then you're in the right place.
Hello and welcome to this episode of XYPN Radio. I'm your host, Alan Moore, and I'm excited to welcome XYPN member Joanne Burke, founder of Birch Street Advisors, on the show today. Joanne started her career as a tax accountant in a Big Four firm, and after doing some rotations through the various departments, she landed in the individual tax department working with high net worth clients. Her partner split off to go independent, so she joined her and helped start their accounting practice, getting the business set up and all that goes with that decision. After a few years in the birth of her second child, she decided to launch her own tax practice to give herself the flexibility to spend more time with her family than public accounting would have provided. Fast forward, after her youngest left for college, she made the leap in 2020 and started her own RIA. We talked about her original plans to convert tax clients over to ongoing financial planning clients and the challenges she faced as she tried to move from being their tax preparer to being seen as their financial advisor. Her deep tax knowledge has proven to be a real asset as she's built a very successful solo firm. We talked about the upcoming decision she'll get to make as she decides if she wants to stay solo or hire and begin to grow the firm. This is a really fun interview that you don't want to miss. Without further ado, here's my interview with Joanne. Stuck managing your business instead of serving your clients? You're not alone. Entrepreneurs often find themselves working in their business rather than on it. That's why we're so excited to announce XY Virtual Assistant is here to free you up to do what you do best and leave the rest to us. Created to go way beyond traditional task management, XYVA was designed to be a partner who not only supports your business, but optimizes it. Check out xyplanningnetwork.com/assist to find all the ways XYVA can help you grow your firm from where it is today to where you want it to be. Hey, Joanne, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being on.
Hey, Alan. Thanks for having me.
I am super excited to talk with you because you have a journey that I think will resonate with so many of our listeners in your sort of journey as an accountant and doing taxes for many years and then becoming a financial planner. And so I just really appreciate you being willing to come on the show and share your story.
I'm excited to share.
So let's talk sort of career path and sort of your journey through accounting. Did you start out sort of out of college planning to be an accountant?
Yes, I got my accounting degree and then I stayed for a fifth year and got my master's in tax. That's when they were starting those 5-year requirements a long time ago, almost 30 years ago. So I decided to go that route so that I could go straight into the tax department with one of the big four, now Big Four, KPMG. So that was my focus. I wanted to skip the whole audit. I wanted to just go directly into the tax department. That's where I wanted to focus.
Yeah, some people might question sanity whenever you start talking about going straight to tax. But so just for my clarity, because I never worked in the Big Four. So if you don't, at that point, if you didn't have your CPA, you end up working sort of as an associate in different areas. Is that sort of the path versus getting your master's and being able to jump straight to tax?
Well, right. In that corporate structure, they wanted you to do audit for a couple of years before you went to tax. But if you had a master's, they would allow you to go into tax. And state of Virginia requires 2 years of work experience prior to getting the CPA, as well as passing the exam. Mm-hmm. So I had to do that. And they wanted some audit experience, but so I did a little rotation, but I was able to get around all that and get the CPA that way.
So what work were you doing there at KPMG? Were you doing taxes for big corporations or was it more individuals?
Yeah, so they had a rotation, which is so cool because I still to this day pull from the experience I had. They had a real estate group, they had not-for-profit, they had expat, a lot of foreign work, and then we had the ultra high net worth group. And so you sort of did rotations every 6 months. And then you decided after that 2-year period where you wanted to land. And I wanted to work with individuals. I wanted to work in the ultra high net worth group. We did a lot of the CEOs of the audit clients.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
So can you give me sort of an idea of like, how much did one of those returns cost? Like how big these were not $500, $1,000 returns.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, they could vary anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. It just depended upon, how many states they were filing in, the complexity, how their rentals or their partnership interests. So yeah, they were, and we had a lot of real estate developers, like this whole area of, Northern Virginia. We had the two main real estate developers and all of their entities. So a lot of passive loss issues. It was a great experience.
Okay.
Really complex.
So they say, after 5 years or something like that at the Big Four, you kind of choose, are you going to stay in the Big Four and go corporate for the rest of your life, or are you going to go independent? How long were you at KPMG?
I was there for 4.5 years. And
Okay.
So the partner, our practice, our individual practice, the partner on down, I was the senior, and we had a manager, senior manager. We left KPMG, took our whole book of business. Kind of extraordinary. But she was the second most senior female partner in the US. She had some leverage, with sexual discrimination. And so we were able to take our whole client book of business. We started our own firm, the tax boutique firm. She's a lawyer, so we did a lot of estate planning, will drafting. So I got a lot of exposure to trust and estates. I did a lot of trust and estate returns, probate work, help small businesses start up, because I got to help our business set up retirement plans, set up the health insurance. So that helped me with my single member LLC clients, my sole proprietors. So there was potential for ownership. Becoming a partner at KPMG was a long, rigorous course. That this was looked like a shorter term path. And so that's what I was really excited about, like owning something with these women. And so that's why I left.
Okay. Makes sense. So then how long were you there for?
I was there for about 3.5 to 4 years when it became apparent that wasn't really the structure for me. I had another child, my second child, and felt like I just wanted more flexibility. That was a real crossroad for me right there.
So when you say the structure, so ownership wasn't going to be an option?
Well, it was an option, but she didn't want to disclose the books. I'm an accountant. I would never advise a client to buy into something when you don't even know what's on the books, So it was an interesting situation.
That's fair. It is interesting how, we can be so, and financial planners are the same way. We can be so academically knowledgeable about, things like succession planning and continuity and selling parts of the business and all that. And yet when we go to do it, just emotion takes over and all of those money scripts pop up, and it's hard. It's a hard thing to talk about. It's a hard thing to do. It's, it's kind of like you're selling part of one of your kids to another parent. Like it's a weird dynamic that can be really challenging to work through.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was her baby, and that was fine. But I just decided that I really wanted to focus on raising my family, to be honest. So that's when I sort of jumped ship.
Okay. But, and what year would that have been?
I think it was like 96. Oh, okay. 1999. I'm sorry. 99.
Okay.
That's when she was born.
So then from there, you launched your own independent accounting practice?
Yeah, so that's when I started my tax practice. Now, I just want to give you a little more background. So while I was at KPMG, she was very forward thinking, my partner, and she started doing financial planning for these CEOs. And we were using that old exec plan software. I was so interested in it. I took to it like it was so fun, because you weren't pigeonholed with black and white, and there was a lot of number crunching. We did a lot of retirement analysis. And then when I left to go to the tax boutique firm, I got my CFP then. So that was 23 years ago or so. And so I studied, self-study, had a 2-year-old working full time, took the CFP exam, and that was done. So when I got to this point where I wanted to focus on my family, I had interviewed with a big, now $1 billion planning firm in Tyson's, got the job offer, and then realized, wait a minute, I don't think that's where I want to go right now, just because I want to, I don't want to be client facing, and it's just a whole new thing. So I said, let me go back to the tax. Let me stick with that and just let that grow organically and let that grow around my growing family.
It makes sense. That would have kind of been trading one thing for another, where you're not really solving that issue that you were looking for, which was more time and flexibility.
Right.
And, especially, you said when y'all went independent, you were doing wills and trusts. And I mean, at what point you're doing estate planning and retirement projections and analysis and taxes, and not just tax returns, but tax planning. Like, it's like 80% of financial planning. So,
oh yeah, we were doing it. It was great. It's so fun. But, at that point, I felt like the investment piece was a big, open uncertainty. And I just felt like that was a full-time job and I wasn't prepared to take that on. So that's the tax piece I knew, and I could continue that and grow and explore with that. So that's where I went.
So were you able to take some clients with you when you started your tax practice, or were you really starting from scratch at that point?
I did actually. I wasn't trying to solicit them, but just like when we left KPMG, people follow you, or, it was just kind of a business dealing, and I had people come along. So I maybe started with 20 or so clients, and now I serve over 125 in the tax side. So a very organic growth. And yes, I was fortunate to start, with people and not eat beans and rice every night. So
no, it is a huge leg up when you can start with revenue, for sure. I mean, we see that in our benchmarking study. We show a lot of statistics around those advisors who start from zero and sort of where they end up. But the ones who start with revenue have much higher success rates, just because you can pay the bills, a little bit more certainty. So accounting, especially on the tax side, is sort of known for the cyclical nature of its feast or famine, depending on the time of year. How did you balance the workload with having young kids? And you said you wanted to be able to spend more time with family. Were you still doing 80-hour weeks during tax season, or were you able to find more balance than that?
Yeah, we kind of, definitely the latter. We kind of made a decision that, we're going to focus on my husband's career. That was going to be the primary. And so I worked part-time for many years, during tax season. I would work at night. I would work at evenings. I did have help come in a couple days a week. My mom, fortunately, would help. And then they went to school. So that was kind of nice. So I'd work when they were in school. But I tried to keep that, at bay, because I wanted to be present. And it's really actually a great gig for moms or working dads, because you work a little bit intensely in those winter, spring months, especially if the kids are school age, that's great. And then really summers are off. Mm-hmm. And that's when your kids are home. So it's really a nice sort of matching of your time commitments and wanting to be a family.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because especially tax accounting is not known for being something that you can do part-time. And just so few employers, I feel like, are supportive of that. Obviously, you were independent, so you can make that call, but it's good to know that there is a lot of flexibility there. So fast forward a few years, you said now you're working with 125 clients. What made you decide to start the financial planning firm?
Yeah, so starting like 2020, 2021, like the few years before COVID, the tax law changes during tax season, it just got to be because I had built up the business and I have no help. I do all the returns myself. It just got to be so stressful. And you're right, it got to be that 80-hour week. I work every day from January 15th on through April 15th kind of thing. And I decided, what, my daughter's in college. I want to go back to what I love. I want to go and explore what I'm passionate about, the planning. I want to provide more value to my clients. And I thought I could just convert my tax clients. And so let me set up an RIA and have really good, I met a lot of folks in this business, investment advisors, attorneys, insurance folks. And one of my good friends is an investment advisor, and she was retiring, and she's like, look, you need to do it. You need to get in there, set up your IRA. I'll give you clients, I'll pass clients to you. So that was enticing, but that really wasn't what did it. So I finally decided, what? It's time for me to do me. I have spent my years doing what I love to do for my family. And now I have space to pursue my own passion, which is the planning. So that was really the impetus. So the summer of 2019, I, registered that fall and joined XYPN and really started moving forward with it.
Okay. So the hope was, I mean, you knew financial planning, you had your CFP, you had done some planning. So you knew what you were getting into. These weren't your first planning clients, but really the goal was to convert some of your tax, clients to the financial planning side. Was your thought that you eventually wanted to shut down the tax practice and just do financial planning, or have you had this sort of the plan to have a dual model of, have the accounting practice, have the financial planning firm, and with some crossover clients?
Yeah, I have to say, like I said, with the tax practice, that sort of grew organically. I'm more of an organic. I don't, set these 5-year visions, which maybe I should, but I thought that I would ship these people over and then still keep the tax practice. But I and we did planning a little differently than we're doing planning now. So it's a different model. And I've added the whole investment piece because I have a TAMP. So that's a whole nother, sort of dimension. But so I thought, yes, I'll just convert these people over and I'll still continue to do the same. But because my planning practice has grown so dramatically, I don't have time just to do a bunch of tax returns. And quite frankly, I don't want to do a bunch of tax returns. Like, you get to that point where you're like, does this bring me joy? No. But I am doing the tax work for my planning clients. So that adds real value and stickiness.
I appreciate you sharing that, because I think, there are a lot of advisors out there who, either have an accounting background, or we have some firms at XYPN who have purchased book tax practices and with the intention of being able to convert those tax clients over to financial planning. So talk to me about the conversations that you've had with the tax clients, and like, what is there sort of a profile for those who chose to move over and start doing financial planning versus those who have elected to not and just have you do their taxes at this point?
Yeah, I think that it's such a because I'm not, there are lots of different reasons, but for some of the folks that for example, did not want to transfer over, they have investment advisors, and that's what when I say financial planning, they think investment advisor. And they also, they think of me as their tax person. Mm-hmm. They really, I think that's still sort of stuck in their head that I'm their tax preparer. They don't necessarily see. And again, I'm not a real hardcore marketer. I talk to people about it when we're doing the tax work. I talk about the Roth, I talk about the conversions, share about my new firm, share about my new venture, but I've never sent out a whole blast to my client base because I don't really actually want to work with everybody in that capacity, Sure. So I have the CFP initials on my signature. I was getting requests from clients. Look, is that you're certified financial planner? Why aren't you doing planning? So that was some of it. And it was these folks that are making, this point where it's like, how do I get myself set up for retirement? It's kind of that's my sort of main core. And then plus or minus, 10 years on either side, or maybe more toward the retirement people. But so I have reached out then very directly to some folks that I think would really benefit from the planning, and shared what I'm doing and explained it. And I've been flat out told I don't need a financial planner, or, what, we're good. And, they've got like an investment person that they're working with. So, I guess I was kind of shocked in a way. I thought, oh, everybody's going to want this, but not everybody does. It's just not.
I think it highlights that, we quote Forrester data quite a bit around sort of this model of, about a third of consumers are delegators, a third are validators, a third are DIYers. Financial planning historically has really focused on the delegators, whereas a tax practice really grabs everybody because at some point, just things are too complex to DIY it. And people know that. Like, I don't care how hardcore of a DIYer you are, when you're in the level of type of tax client that you're working with, they know they have to have an accountant just to navigate all of it's cheaper to hire you than it is to screw it up. Yeah. And so I think it highlights the fact that, when you're looking at a tax practice, they didn't hire you for this ongoing financial planning relationship and to delegate their investments and a lot of the financial work. They hired you to do their taxes. And so there's going to be some sort of segmentation. I don't know if it's actually a third in a tax practice, but like, there's going to be some sort of segmentation of those who just really want to do it themselves. There's a group that already have an investment advisor, and you've got to kind of convince them why they should go with you. And, it sounds like you're not going to go in for the hard sales pitch. So you can sort of inform, but that is what it is. And there's going to be then a segment that, both you want to work with and they want to work with you, which starts to sort of whittle down the percentage of folks who are going to move over, which makes a lot of sense. And I know that the economics of, and I get it, the economics of buying a tax practice, they tend to sell for, 1x revenue. So if you can buy $500,000 of revenue for $500,000 and hopefully convert them to financial planning clients, which sells for 3 to 4 times revenue. And so I get that, but I think it's a good cautionary tale for those who are in the business or thinking about getting into the business of, I'll just buy tax practices and make everybody a financial planning client. Probably not. I think you'll, I don't know the percentages, but I'm guessing, you'll have a 10 to 20% success rate. Do you know, what was your success rate there?
I'd say 20%, if that, right? And I think that I am planning to actually sell off a portion of the tax practice because, again, I don't want to be the tax only shop. And when I do provide that, and I don't want to give an ultimatum, but I just, am basically going to say, hey, unless you want to be a planning client, and I may get some folks to come over, but I've already approached some of these people already, so it's, again, I don't know what the exact reasons are. Like, they have their person, they see me as the tax person but whatever, it is what it is. And I think that, for some people, it's just an insurance policy. They could try to do it themselves. Like you said, it's like, okay, but wait a minute, we got someone on the line here for it. The IRS comes knocking on our door.
Somebody to represent us in tax court.
That's right.
And I ask this genuinely as someone who's never done, I worked at a VITA clinic in college. So I truly have never done taxes. I'm not an accountant. How has your approach or change, or has it changed when you're trying to do someone's taxes now that you've done so much financial planning and incorporated taxes into that? Has that changed the way you view tax preparation for these clients that are tax only?
I say yes. I would say yes. And here is the difference. It's reactivity versus proactivity. So in the tax world, and this sort of fit where, I was, it's a very reactive world. You're taking historical information. People don't want to spend a couple hours of CPA time to plan with me during the year. And then I have to unravel it all after the fact. But now it's all proactive. I do tax planning for all my financial planning clients. We do it. And so we're looking at very closely what's going on, thinking about DAFs, thinking about using appreciated assets for giving, So when I'm looking at some of my tax clients, I am bringing up these issues more during the year. Like, I'm raising more issues. I'm being more proactive. And that's the whole, it's just that lens, that proactive lens.
I imagine then that makes it hard to do the tax only clients where, it is easier to do a tax return for a client you've been working with on the financial planning side for several years. You know what happened last year. You know what contributions they made. You know that they bought or sold a house. You sort of already know those things versus okay, here we go. How do I unravel this and sort of clean up the mess and maybe fix some things before April 15th?
Right. And it's just like, oh yeah, I just found out that so-and-so just sold his rental property. Oh, okay. Well, maybe you want to do a 1031 exchange. Maybe, what? And so the tax practice is very transactional. I mean, I know people are moving into this, sort of bronze, silver, gold level package, kind of like what we're doing in planning. And I think that's probably a great way to go, honestly, because then you're opening up the space for the planning, you're opening up room, but the fee obviously is higher, but it's very transactional. And folks, depending upon who you have, they may not want to spend that time planning, they may not, or the money, quite frankly, so.
Well, it's not hard to earn back the fee with avoided mistakes and penalties and stress and all that. But I hear you that it's, for most clients, it's seen as a necessary evil. It's not seen as a value add. Whereas on the planning side, they hire us for the value add, not because, not the necessary evil component.
Okay.
So are you doing tax preparation for all of your financial planning clients at this point, or do you have some that are still using outside preparers?
Yes. So I'm going to do tax work for about 80% of my planning clients.
Okay.
So some of my new folks that are just planning only, not investment advisory clients, they have tax preparers or CPAs. And I'm like, that's fine. That's great, actually.
Fewer tax returns for you. I mean, this is a very common journey that I hear from accountants who are getting into financial planning, where many have the tax practice. They want to start a financial planning firm. And then, there's some economics components of just recurring revenue, recurring relationships. It reduces the transactional nature. It also smooths out the workflow. Financial planning is something you can do every month of the year. Short of like trying to get clients to come in December is probably the hardest part, but like you can do it every month. Whereas tax, again, has sort of the cyclical nature and can be really draining, and it can impact, when you're doing 125 tax returns for non-clients, it really impacts your ability to bring in new clients, to take care of your current clients and the planning side. And so people end up in this sort of whiplash scenario where when they do have a tax practice, their financial planning firm almost turns into a tax practice in the cyclical nature, but in the off season. So it's like Q1, it's all tax practice. Q2, it's back to planning. Q3, it's back to tax. Q4, it's back to planning. And it can be really hard to manage, especially as a solo or small firm. And so this is, we definitely see firms that get the taste of financial planning and the way the firm operates and the relationships you have with clients, and they tend to start moving away from the transactional nature of tax.
Yeah, you just really hit the nail on the head for me. This is the way I've been working it, just sort of like, okay, we're doing taxes now. And that's where we go in this Q1, 2-ish area. And that's what I am trying to get away from. I was trying to smooth out my workload and trying to be able to, continue doing planning during that time of year. So that's been really my focus. I'll tell you what surprised me though, Alan, was that I just at first really wanted to completely get rid of all the tax work. And as the more I've gotten into my planning practice, I am such a commodity because I have such tax debt. And we know that 70, 80% of our financial decisions are tax related. Mm-hmm. And everybody, these new prospects that I'm talking to, they're like, wow, so you're a CPA too? Oh, wow. Tax and because everybody I'm talking to says, you have to go talk to your CPA. You have to go talk to your CPA. Well, I am the CPA. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there should be, it's a value add. Like sure. There's, and I'm not even sure I'm pricing it right, to be perfectly honest, because as I'm getting in this more, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I don't have to go learn this stuff like everybody else does. This is what I, eat, sleep, breathe kind of thing. And I take it for granted. But it's coming to be a great realization that this is really actually a perfect, background to bring into this planning arena.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge asset. And I think that's, different advisors have different approaches where, some put financial therapy, life planning at the center of the relationship. Others, different thing, others investments, some insurance, but taxes, like you said, it really is. It touches every decision, every financial decision that we make has some tax impact. And knowing that and being able to keep up with, I just watched a webinar from Kitsis on Secure Act 2.0. I'm not even sure I'm up to speed on 1.0. And, I'm reminded that it hasn't been that many years since I was a financial planner, and I can provide no value anymore because I don't know how the taxes work and all the laws associated with it. So anyway, so yeah, let's talk about, because maybe we can figure out your pricing model here live on the air with listeners. So in terms of the service model, can you talk me through sort of your typical service model? Actually, let me take one step back. And that is, do you have a client, sort of an ideal client profile, typical client that you enjoy working with?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I do. My avatar is somebody probably late 50s, really kind of 5 to 7 years out from retirement, really trying to figure out, how do I set myself up for that? Getting them prior to those years before retirement so that we can start strategies with Roth conversions during retirement for Social Security, looking at long-term care. That's always a huge one, sort of getting that long-term care plan, setting up the generosity planning. That is like an ideal. And then being able to work with them in that decumulation phase, that really tax optimized decumulation phase ahead. So, but starting all that, like, 5-ish years out. And I will say that I just want to add, when you said life planning, so I've been through the money quotient, and I'm a member of Money Quotient. And so I'm very numbers oriented, and I'm very, quantitative, but that wasn't enough. I felt like that just really kind of left an empty. So I really added in that sort of life planning qualitative approach that I think really helps people really, really understand their values. So I learned so much in this whole experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. Was that a tough transition for you as a quantitative person to sort of lean into that qualitative, emotional side of financial planning, or did that come naturally to you?
Well, a little of both. I mean, I would love to just go straight to the tax. Okay, let's do this, make this contribution. Let's, you're going to grow to this. I mean, that feels good. Numbers are safe. They're black and white. But doing my own personal work, I understand the power of understanding yourself and the why we do. And I feel like that dimension, I can't put a value on it. It just really is just such a great value add in that, people can really tap into why they're doing what they're doing with their money, or why they want to do, this or that with their money.
I love that, because I do recognize that, many of us are more comfortable jumping straight to the numbers, and then clients don't do what we need them to do or what we're recommending. And then we're like, why? And when you really get down to it, understand the why, it makes a lot more sense. And then we can help clients navigate that, because usually they're not doing things just because they're trying to make us mad, like they're not trying to cost themselves, more in taxes. There's something else going on.
Yeah.
So in terms of your fee structure, so you have this ideal client profile, which makes a ton of sense, especially given your tax knowledge, where you're really planning for the decumulation phase and all the things in preparation for that. And then starting, you said tax optimized decumulation, I think is huge. There's huge savings there. What is your fee structure? So how have you structured out your financial planning fees?
So I work on an ongoing basis. It's an ongoing relationship. I don't do one-offs. I don't do hourly unless they're tax legacy, tax clients I'm sort of trying to bring into the planning. I'll do hourly, but I have a subscription, $4,800 minimum a year for individuals and $6,000 minimum for couples, and a $1,250 first year upfront fee. And then my AUM structure is separate. If you want to engage in investment advisory services, that's additional.
Okay.
So I have clients, most of my clients are at the 4,800. I mean, I started the 6,000 at the beginning of last year. So I have clients that range from 6,000 a year to 8,400 a year just in planning fees.
And does that include tax preparation and tax planning as part of that fee? Okay, so that's an added fee. That's
separate. Yeah, because I was kind of advised to keep the tax firm separate from the planning firm for compliance. So I bill all the tax stuff separately. Unfortunately, they have two different emails they have to work with.
Yep.
But people can work around it. But so that's separate service.
Okay, good. That was gonna be my encouragement when you said you weren't sure if you were charging enough. If you were including taxes, I was definitely going to say, no, you are not charging enough. But so I guess there's sort of three fees that everyone's paying. Probably, for the most part, they're paying the planning fee and then the tax preparation fee, and then the AUM is a separate fee. And what is the AUM structure? Does that start at 1% or somewhere around there?
So it's at 95 basis points up to the first million, and then it's 80 basis points or 85 for the next 1.5 million. So what I've done though is reduce the basis points to 25 if they're paying, but 25 per each tier.
Okay.
If they're paying an ongoing planning fee.
So do you have investment only clients that are just paying you for investment management?
Yes.
Okay. So
and it's different. Yeah. So we meet twice a year. I do planning in the fall, it's a different like service calendar, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned earlier that you're using a TAMP. And so for listeners, that's a turnkey asset management platform, which is a program that you can, an outsourced provider that you can partner with to be able to provide some additional services to clients. So you're not doing everything yourself, which I highly recommend for solo advisors in particular. So what, do you mind sharing what TAMP you're using?
Yeah, I'm using CGN Advisors. That it used to be Garrett Investment Advisors. And
oh, okay.
Justin Nichols, Mike Grimes, and Chad, what's his last name, bought out basically Cheryl Garrett. And so they run the network, and they also do some sub-advisory work. So the beauty of their group is, and I interviewed 5 or 6 different TAMPs. So, and then I even came back to them a second time. I had clients that had like individual stock and bond holdings that I wasn't going to sell off with, capital gains of hundreds of thousands of dollars just to go into a model strategy.
Yep.
So I had to be able to have the support of a investment team that would help me work that into the model structure, into our asset allocation and our strategy. And they do that, and it's wonderful. And so I think that's helped me to attract more of my affluent, investment advisory clients.
Yeah, it's a great point that not all TAMPs are built the same. Last I saw this, there were like 450 TAMPs out there. And there is sort of this mix that you've got to find that works for you, because some TAMPs only allocate on the individual account level. They can't, some allocate on the household level. Some can hold outside assets. Some can't. Some can rebalance around those assets and incorporate them into the sort of ideal model asset allocation, but not actually sell them. Like there's a lot of that, of those things to consider. Obviously, the more services, the more fees, generally speaking, and the bigger the firm, the different type of service tier. As we say, you never want to be the biggest nor smallest client of anyone. And so you got to figure out like where's their sweet spot. So that it makes a lot of sense. And I guess what went into the decision to partner with a TAMP versus, doing this yourself? Clearly, you can figure this out. You've got more credentials than most. You're clearly smart enough. Why not just manage in-house? Why hire a TAMP?
Well, I really thought about this. I feel very strongly about, having the depth and the knowledge of what I'm trying to provide to clients. And I clearly have that tax piece. And because I had so much tax work and, have that depth and keeping up with that consumes a lot of my time. When I started, I wanted to come in with that same kind of depth in the investment advisory piece. And it would take me some time to get up to speed. And quite frankly, I wanted to be able to say, hey, here's my team that, I've been using. They've got 20 plus years of experience, just like me. And I'm giving you depth in the tax side, depth in the investment side. I'm bringing the whole package to the table. And so honestly, that was one of the best decisions I made. And I really knew that I had to secure that right away, that relationship right away. So
yeah, we like to remind advisors that if you're the one doing all the investing and all the trading, and you're a solo, that means you never actually get a vacation for the rest of your career, because in the end, there are obligations. When a client calls with a trade that needs to be executed, you've got to do it, whether you're on a Caribbean cruise or hiking in where in the Alps, like you have to do it. And so that's one of the real benefits of hiring a TAMP. And just because you're solo doesn't mean you have to do it all alone. All right. You can have help. And I keep saying solo. Do you have any employees at this point in your practice?
I don't. I've used some outsourcing for paraplanning, for, things like that. Trying different things. Hopefully I'll do something more permanent coming up this summer. But I will say, you still have to check your email on vacation. I'm the front person. They're my team, like I want my clients to know that I am the one bringing this to the table and that I am the person that understands and it's, handling that, but they're my back office. So I am still taking the, requests for cash and things like that. So I think just being in that set, bring those services, you really are on the line more so than with just the planning,
Sure.
Because of the nature of needing cash. And so, so but it's great because I know all the administrative pieces with doing tax work, right? I don't want to sit there and fill out a Schwab application. No,
not your highest and best use of time.
No.
So you mentioned, you're thinking about a more permanent hire. Is that more intern, or are you thinking about starting to add full-time team members to your team?
This is something I really need to think about. I think it would be a part-time permanent, something like that. Just I need to know. I thought, okay, I'm going to be a lifestyle practice. I'm going to be about 30 client households. I've already got 20, low 20s already. And now I'm not even taking clients until May of 2023 because of, tax season. But I feel like I want to have that person so that when I am on vacation, they can contact that person.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be a virtual experience because I work out of my home. It won't be someone that I don't see that I'll have enough work for full time. So I think I'm going to, again, I'm more of an organic, like, let's just kind of creep our way into it,
Sure.
But some would say, oh no, you don't wait till you're at capacity and then hire somebody. You hire somebody so that you can grow to capacity. And, I probably not planning as best as I can, perhaps, but
Well, I also find, sometimes people hire too early as well. And then that can create financial challenges and stress and such, because, we can all make Excel say that our business plan is phenomenal. I mean, it's perfect in Excel. But then reality hits and are you making enough money? And do you have enough work? Like I said, I mean, one of the worst things in the world is to have bored talent around the office. So you got to be sure that we're ready to bring folks in, which makes a lot of sense. Because, you worked on teams. It sounds like you were always part of a team until you ultimately started your tax. And with the tax practice, did you have help, or has that always been just you?
Just me.
Okay. So you've seen the value of having a team, and I would say about 50% of XYPN members say they never want to hire ever. And then the other half say, they want to hire someone or someones, depending on the size, they may want to grow. But a lot of folks who, for a variety of reasons, just don't want to manage people. And I would probably lump like part-time, even part-time permanent help is like, I don't want to grow a big team. I'm not trying to get big here. I'm just trying to support the client base that I have. And it doesn't even sound like it's for you to bring on a bunch more clients. It's really about supporting the client base you want and that you have so that you can take a vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you thinking about in terms of sort of what's next for you? I mean, you have this tax practice that's been successful. You have a thriving financial planning firm now, and it's growing, but it's, you may hit your number by the end of the year if you keep growing like this. So I guess what's next? Where's your focus going to be for the next 12 to 24 months when it comes to business?
Yeah, I definitely want to sell off a part of the tax practice. That was, as I said, I was working on that last fall and over the holidays, but it didn't get the deal sealed. So that will be this summer. I'll definitely be doing that. And then that's going to free me up because I want to start providing more educational videos and materials to clients. Like, it's a marketing, but it's also an educational piece. I look at it from that perspective. I feel like I want to increase my outreach to clients. I'd like to get up to 30 families that are, planning clients. And, I'm not sure. I really think this could grow well beyond me, just because I do have so many great, contacts. And really, most of my new clients are from existing clients. So, I mean, I have gotten them from XY and some other NAPFA sources, but so, I think growing to that sort of 30 household is the 12 to 24 month, but beyond that, I'm not quite sure.
So it sounds like you're still wrestling with the decision on whether or not you want to grow beyond yourself or stay small or stay solo.
Stay solo, yeah. Lifestyle practice, right?
Yeah. How do you feel like you'll make that decision? Sort of what are some of the things that you're thinking about as you're weighing that decision, or are you just trying to not think about it for another year or two and address it later?
No, I want to see what it feels like without this tax burden. without all of these,
That makes
so
sense.
many clients, because once you're a client, you can call me with your notice in the summer. You can, so I want to feel that. What does that feel like? And then I want to be able to, hire somebody at this permanent part-time kind of situation. What does that feel like? How do we grow into that? And I think that's going to give me sort of more room to then decide, okay, do I want to really expand beyond this? Or are we going to keep it at a space where I, am working the 4 days a week and, taking vacation and feel good about that and saving, for my retirement. And so those kind of, it sounds like an either or, but I'm just going to kind of see what it feels like this summer before I make commitments to which path I will take.
It makes a lot of sense. And to your point, you haven't experienced just having 25, 30 clients on the financial planning side without the tax practice. And it'll take a little bit to sort of settle into that and feel what you may have to go through a tax season to really wow, I'm bored. Like, what am I going to do during the spring if I don't have taxes to do for all these clients? And so and I encourage folks to remember there's no right answer here, and that's the mistake I think we make sometimes as business owners is, especially those of us who are more on the quantitative side, like we're trying to create the Excel equation that answered like, how much money do I want to make and how much time? And it's like, it's okay. Like sometimes we just experiment and we try it and we get creative and we see what works for us, because no decisions at this stage can't be undone. Like we can always adjust. And so, and you're building a super successful solo practice right now. And again, you can choose to go the boutique route, but just back of napkin math. This is a $350,000, $400,000 gross revenue practice when you're at 30, 35 households. And so, that's a very successful business. In dollar terms, success means different things to different people. And so I'll be really interested to hear how you feel as the accounting side gets sold off and sort of lean into just the planning. And see how that feels and how you make that decision. Cause it's not a simple equation, unfortunately, to get to that answer.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yes. And I do think, yes, that's a great, revenue base to I'd be totally happy with that. And that is where I'm going, probably that 400K-ish range. I've had incredible growth. I don't know the percentages, but I've shared it in, in the pre-thing, but I don't really know what that percentage is. And being the CPA, I can't believe I didn't quantify it. But it's been, over $100,000 each year. And I'm just so grateful because, I do think it's about relationships and, building that trust with clients. And I don't know how to teach that. You just don't know how to, that's just something, just wanting to take care of people is just, I think it just has to be how you carry yourself. And I think that's, to me, what, helps to solidify my relationships with my clients.
Absolutely. It is a hard thing to teach. So it's why I encourage young people when they're getting into the industry. I'm like, the number one question to ask is, how long until I can sit in client meetings? Don't ask how long until you can talk, because you can't talk for a while, most likely, but you can sit and watch, because that's the only way you're going to learn how to navigate these challenging conversations that we take for granted. Once you've had the 100th conversation, you're like, okay, I got this. But it's hard to remember what the first one was like. And so good for folks, for young people to be able to sit in the office and just be able to watch us. And then, over time they develop their own style, their own flow with that. So, but it is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, Joanne, as we're coming up on time, we'll close out with a final question. And that is, if there's one piece of advice that you wish you could go back and give your younger self, what do you think that piece of advice would be?
My younger self, how young?
You go as far back as you choose.
Yeah. I probably would have started the planning practice earlier. I'm sure you hear this all the time. I probably would have started it maybe five years earlier than I did, but it just is what it is. And, you don't know until you try. So that is something I think I would have done. But what I will tell you is that by starting it in my mid 50s. I'll share my age just because I think this is good knowledge to have. It really provides over 50 or 70% of new businesses are started by people over 55.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm providing a good model for my kids that, hey, it's never too late to do something you're passionate about. Like, it's never too late to start something you're really passionate about. And so this is what I help clients do. These are my, this is my age group. So I'm living it. I tell my clients, hey, you want to start that consulting practice or you want to cut back, you can do it. Just figure it out with you. So
I appreciate you sharing that, because I think we hear so much about the 20-something tech startup and they're going to be the successful entrepreneurs, and the failure rate of entrepreneurs in their 20s is astronomically high. We get a lot of we sort of have a brand for like everyone in XYPN's in their 20s, and they're not. I mean, median age of a member is like 42 now, which is right at the cutoff between Gen X and Gen Y, which is kind of funny. That it worked out that way. But I mean, and count on two hands the number of people in their 20s who are part of the network, because entrepreneurship in those earlier decades are really hard. And I think that if I remember the statistics right, the success rate is the highest when you're starting a business in your 50s for a variety of reasons. You have experience, you probably have the financials figured out by then, and it's not as high pressure. And you have relationships, a lot more about what you're passionate about. So I appreciate you sharing that, because it's really never too late to start a business, to follow your dreams, and it doesn't have to be something that you don't make money doing. Like, you can make a lot of money in this sort of encore career, I guess, which is sort of where you're at, where you get you get an opportunity to do it again. So.
Yeah.
Well, Joanne, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show and share your story and your journey. I am certain that this is going to be really helpful for folks who are evaluating their own journey and trying to decide if starting their own financial planning firm is the path for them. So thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, Alan. This was great. I really appreciate you having me on.
Stuck managing your business instead of serving your clients? You're not alone. Entrepreneurs often find themselves working in their business rather than on it. That's why we're so excited to announce XY Virtual Assistant is here to free you up to do what you do best and leave the rest to us. Created to go way beyond traditional task management, XYVA was designed to be a partner who not only supports your business, but optimizes it. Check out xyplanningnetwork.com/assist to find all the ways XYVA can help you grow your firm from where it is today to where you want it to be. Also, be sure to go to xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP to join our private Facebook group for fee-for-service advisors. It's the community you've been looking for that's there to provide support no matter where you are in your journey. Best of all, it's free. Again, that's xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP.
Thanks for listening to XYPN Radio. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to leave a review that will help grow the movement of fee-for-service advisors, serving next-gen clients and building the firms of their dreams. That's all for today's episode. Until next time.